Welcome to the Inspire and Rewire podcast. This is our third Zoom meeting with you guys, and we are transforming as many lives as we possibly can. Today we're going to just jump right into it. We had a wonderful topic for you guys, and I think it can apply to all of ours. So the topic is environmental childhood. How did we name? What did we name it?
Childhood environmental programming.
Oh yeah, childhood environmental programming. That's what we're gonna call it. Childhood environmental programming, guys. So I'll let Zay start us off with this topic today, and we'll let you know what that means to us, how we have overcome that, and how we can possibly help you guys do the same. Start us off, brother.
Yeah, and it's pretty much something we kind of been talking about for a while now, but just to put it in this way, and it's something that you can't really hammer home enough. You need to be it's almost like the key to greatness is mastering the fundamentals, mastering the basics, right? So this would be like the basic of evolution, the basics of escaping, not escaping, but overcoming your trials and tribulations and your environmental programming. You hear a lot of people say, I'm a product of my environment, which is true. We all are, but at some point we also have a choice on if we let that environment shape us and if we succumb to our environmental choices and decisions and what our role models are doing, or if we overcome that. So basically, childhood environmental programming to me just means like there's certain things that people around you told you and that you believed, just like Vic was talking about last episode. But it's so pivotal when you're a child because they say that your brain is growing and developing so fast that when something happens when you're a child, it has a longer lasting and bigger impact on your neuroplasticity and subconscious mind. So that means, say, if you were abused as a child and you can't get over that trauma, you're stuck in like a victimhood mentality. That's because it had such a big impact on you and your subconscious that you can't even move past it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Um, Everything that you said is on point. And we were talking about how people are always trying to, say that they're a product of their environment, which they are. I always say, don't be a product of your environment. Be a product of your heart. There's a difference. But yeah, what I'm saying. Don't
I ain't
be.
never heard that, but that's all.
Yeah, that's what I always say. Don't be a product of your environment. Be a product of your heart, because your heart will let you know what you should be doing, if you're on the correct path, or whether this feels like, even though I like these people, something feels off about it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the times when you're a child, especially, you're really just trying to find a role model. Especially if you didn't have a good home where you were brought up as in a way that a child should, and maybe you came up in an environment where you didn't have a dad, or maybe mom was missing, and maybe you just catered more towards the streets or your friends out there, and that's what you looked for in guidance. And because you found them to welcome you into their home, or their arms, to for them to feel like family to you, that's a good feeling. And so whatever it is that they are teaching you, you're gonna succumb to it, whether you like it or not, because these people become your role models in some way, shape, or form. And so, when you're a child, especially, you start to we're all getting indoctrinated in every way, shape, or form. Even today, just watch the news, watch commercials, watch anything and everything that you're intaking into your mind. It is some kind of programming for you. Now imagine that as a child. And when you're a child, all we can do is act, speak, and just basically, emulate those around us. And if those around us have good intentions for us, but they never figured out how to take their own intentions and get them to pass a certain echelon in life, that's literally the level that you will stop at. So it's important for you to find, outside sources. Isaiah Isaiah once told me one thing, an analogy on how he phrased it, and I thought it was super dope. He said, imagine you're building a house and all you have is these bricks in your hand, and then once you're done with these bricks, you have no more. And these bricks essentially resemble the people around you, your environment, who you have connections to. And they might have helped you and served their purpose when they're there in that moment, but eventually, if you want to expand and you're out of bricks, you're going to have to leave your community and go find other people who have more bricks. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah, 1,000%. The best example I could possibly give of, well, maybe not the best, but a good example of what I can give from childhood programming is I grew up around people that if we seen somebody reading, we're like, oh, that guy's a nerd, or reading is for nerds, or reading is for goofy people, or reading is this, reading is that. And it's those subtle little things that make a big difference in your mentality because I spent my whole childhood despising reading. I didn't read my first book cover to cover till I was about 22. You know what I mean? And since then, I probably read about 50 books because I realized the power in it. But it just imagine how many things people have said to you throughout your life and in your childhood that you're still holding on to that are affecting your growth and your development to this day. And that was a big one for me because I truly used to think that like, oh, we don't need to read, we don't need to learn, we don't need whatever, whatever. And that's just a slight example. But there's other examples, but obviously you get the point, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, for sure. That was a big one. I feel like, especially when you come in a community that's, more melanated, like Black or Hispanic, that seems to be like a common theme in those demographics for some reason. And
Minority.
yeah, minorities in general, for sure. But I didn't want to say minorities because you have like, a lot of the Asian communities, especially Chinese, they really, and South Koreans, like if you go to South Korea, dude, these guys, these students are literally just doing their schoolwork 24/7 all the time, and they're surviving on like three American espresso coffees to keep them going because they're studying every day. And so there's certain minorities where, it's not as profound, but for some reason I feel like especially in the Black and Hispanic community, it is very profound and looked down upon to pick up a book or to talk about something that is just outside of the ordinary in those environments.
I
But
got, I got another really good one.
go
Uh,
ahead.
I grew up around a lot of men who always felt like they had to be hard and tough all the time. You know what I mean? Never show
Mhm.
no emotion, never open up, never talk about their problems, never tell people how they're really feeling, never tell people what they're really going to, because that's just how a man's supposed to be, chin up, chest out, no emotion, hard all the time. But the reality of that is their demise. That eats them from the inside out. Because as men and as humans, we need outlets, we need vents, we need, like I said in that one analogy, what does the marina smell like?
Mm.
The marina doesn't smell good. And for those who are out of state, that's just a body of water in our city that's just sitting there. And the reason why it doesn't smell good is because it has no flow path. Look at the Truckee River. The Truckee River flows from Tahoe to Pyramid, and it's crystal clear. You get what I'm saying? So, as men and as humans, we need outlets, we need vents. It's actually harder and more commendable for a man to be vulnerable and soft rather than chin up, chest out, hard all the time. And that's what a lady's supposed to be, a soft spot for you to confide in and things like that. But even then, some people think they just got to be tough all the time, and that eats them from the inside out.
Yeah, for sure. That is a great example that you just gave because a lot of people feel like, a lot of men, especially, obviously, feel like that's exactly what they have to do is they have to be representative of that masculine energy and just take everything in and don't express anything out. And eventually, you can only bottle up so much before you explode. And you might blow up on your kid or on a friend or on your significant other, and say some out of pocket shit to them because it could have been something small, but whatever's been going on in your life literally just went ahead and transcended into, further emotion than it should have, into more significant pain than it should have, all because you weren't able to express that and let it out in a timely manner. And because it got bottled up, now you have all these other consequences that maybe you wouldn't have had if you had an outlet for that energy. So, yeah, anything in life can represent this basically, because you'll have everything, just question everything in your life. Why do you believe what it is that you believe in your life? Who did you get this information from? And did that person have your greatest good in their mind when they told you this? Or were they just looking out for themselves? And even when people have the greatest good in their minds for you, it does not mean that that's going to be the best way for you to look at life. You should always be malleable and you should always have an open mind, because if you don't have an open mind, you will stay in the same paradigm that you've always been. And if you stay in the same paradigm that you've always been, in order for you to elevate, you must be able to escape that paradigm, transcend from it. But you can't do that unless you go and seek outside sources, different information, and surround yourself with people who you're not regularly associated with.
I
So
forgot who told me this or where I heard this, but they said nobody really knows anything. They're just speaking on what they think they know and what they think they heard, or regurgitated information from other people. Now, I firmly believe there's a thing called absolute truth, which resonates with every soul at its core, and that's what we try to speak here on this platform. But then again, there's going to be stuff we say that people don't agree with, and that's okay. And that's exactly what we're trying to tell you, is that you were too young to know that you didn't agree with it and you just accepted it. I never heard it put like that, but I like that.
that's fire. That's fire. I never heard it put like that, but I definitely like that.
You didn't know that you didn't know. You feel me?
You don't know what you don't know. That's literally what it comes down to. You don't know what you don't know. And at the end of the day, I always say, you're not living reality. You're living your reality. You know what I'm saying? Because reality is always going to be subjective. And so that was what I was talking about in the last video, in the last episode that we dropped, was if you're going to go ahead and take in truths that are only true to you because you've adopted them and accepted them to be true to you, why wouldn't you just adopt truths that are going to serve you and empower you? A lot of people are living in their truth, which is disempowering them, whether that's feeling lack internally, feeling lack externally, feeling, like they're not good enough, feeling like nobody actually loves them and they have to look for that love within themselves and can't find it, whatever that may be. You need to be able to associate yourself in such a manner where you can truly find who it is that you are and then live that reality. Stop associating yourself with realities that you don't want to be part of you. Because I've said to people before, depression isn't real, right? And this is like a big topic in today's age. And when I say
A lot of people don't like that one.
no, and when I say to somebody depression isn't real, they will say to me, "Yes, it is, man. Yes, it is. You should see. I've gone through depression. You've never been left by your girl. You've never had someone that you love passed away." And they give me all these crazy examples. And then I say to them, "You defend depression as if depression defends you. I literally tell you that your enemy is not real. And you sit here and stick up for your enemy as if your enemy is your best friend, as if you expressing that your enemy is so true and mighty is going to help you in some way, shape, or form." So
So
when I say depression isn't real, I'm not saying that feeling depressed isn't real. I've felt depressed. I've lost my grandmother and I felt depressed. I felt anxiety, but I did not marinate in that emotion and then label myself as depressed. I figured out, hey, this is how I'm feeling. I need to figure out how I can stop feeling this way. How do I find a solution to this? And then I started, figuring out on meditation, exercise, how to live more in the present, how to understand the greater purpose of life, and overall God. Okay, overall God. And I have not felt depressed or anxiety for many, many years now because I chose to not label myself as that. What most people do is they'll defend that title. They'll say, I am depressed. I am clinically depressed. And they will give me every reason why they're depressed. And they will defend that title because that title gives them a reason of why they can't be where they're at. And they have justification for it.
This is gonna have to be a short one. I'm about to die, and I need these directions. I'm in foreign land, but
Oh, yeah.
two things on that. You know, the reason why most people say it's real is because of what the effects it can have on the brain. But technically, it's not depression that makes that effect on the brain. It's the constant negative state that you're in that makes that effect on the brain. So, I mean, you can give it a word if you want, but at the end of the day, it's just you staying in a low vibrational state so long that it's now affecting your physical body. And Dr. Wayne Dyer used to say this to his patients. If you're so anxious and depression is so real, okay, this is our session. Now, at the end of my session, at the beginning of the next session, I want you to bring me a bucket of anxiety and bring me a bucket of depression if it's real. And that there would be physically impossible. You can't put depression or anxiety in a bucket. So it's not technically tangibly a real thing. It's a state of mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so powerful. We can go deep into this one, but Isaiah's in foreign land and he needs his GPS, guys. So we're going to cut it short. I hope you guys found some value in this short episode. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's make sure that we're out there passing this information to the people that actually need it. Love you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Yes, sir. That was a good one.